positions. Number one question, positions. I know what first position is, I think. In the first lesson, Neil said we should know all the natural notes in first position. That's the first 4 frets, plus the open string notes. Yes,
okay,
she's asking that question. Number 2, are other positions named for the fret that they begin at? For example, A scale. You were working on in lesson 2 that begins on the low E at the 5th fret. Right, you know, is that considered 5th position?
Yeah, mostly. It's more determined by what fret your first finger's at.
Okay.
So sometimes you play a scale. So like if you're going to play the scale that she's describing there,
right.
If you're going to play it with your first finger at the 5th fret, that is 5th position.
Okay.
Now that would be like we were doing last week, these 3 notes per string. So we're playing that starting in 5th position. Technically we move into 6th and even 7th for the last few notes. Right? But another common way of playing a major scale is to start with your second finger on the tonic and only play 2 notes on this string and then 3 on the next.
Right.
And
so that would be 4th position.
Right.
So wherever that index finger
starts. So it's the fret that this finger's at. So she phrased it the fret you're starting at.
Right.
But that's assuming you're starting at that fret with your first finger.
Got it.
So it's really the fret that your first finger's lined up at.
Okay.
Okay.
That is the position.
And so that comes from like classical guitar terminology. Like you could be working on a song and they'll say, and they use Roman numerals to designate the position, the same way we use Roman numerals to designate a bar at a certain fret.
Right.
So if you saw 7 in Roman numerals, it would, on one hand you can interpret it to mean a bar at the 7th fret, but they don't always use it to mean a bar. It could just mean 7th position.
Okay.
Meaning get your first finger up to the 7th fret.
So whatever fret your index finger is on the first or on the 6th or 5th string, or any string.
Well, right, really any string.
Any string.
Yeah, whatever fret your first finger is lined up at.
That's the
position
that you're in.
Yeah. So so she was close with that idea.
Yeah.
And it fit for what she was saying there because she's starting the scale with her first finger.
Right.
Okay.
And then she mentioned, would the B flat scale start at the 6th fret, be 6th position, etc.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, assuming she's starting with the first finger and not the second finger.
Got it.
Right.
Okay. Number 3. As Neil described working on the scales up the neck, he talked about 3 notes per string spanning a 5 fret area. 5 fret?
Well, 5th through the 9th fret. That's what we were doing last week.
Yeah, that is what we were doing.
We were covering, 5 frets with 4 fingers.
Right.
So that's where we had one of them had to reach. We had one spread where 2 fingers were not right next to each other. You had to skip a fret. And that's where we chose to usually you're better off with the bigger spread between your first and second fingers than between your 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, as I practiced it, I figured that out.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, you feel the stretch. Okay, so she's right. Are there prescribed ways of organizing these scales? Spanning a 5. Are there prescribed ways of organizing these scales, or can I just come up with my own? I imagine that's probably not efficient. But I think she's saying, can she go anywhere up the neck to start?
The idea with the pattern that we did last week was that it's a pattern you can just slide around. So that if you're playing a song now in the key of C, you could take that pattern, bring it up to C.
And you'll be in the key of C. Unless you're starting on the 5th string.
Right, and you could use, okay. And now starting on the 5th string, that's like a different pattern. And we talked about that one a little bit last time too.
Did,
so those are like 2 different patterns. Now they're very closely related because we talked about how it's because of the second, 3rd string switch that the 5th string one gets shifted 1 fret compared to the 6th string one.
Right.
Okay. Okay, there's a little melody being played there.
Right.
2 notes at a time. Now, one voice did that. Another one at the same time did this. So there were 2 melodies being played in harmony there together.
Right.
That were most of them were thirds apart. I'm playing an A and a C.
Right, I see that.
Okay, I'm playing A and C,
Right.
a third apart. Now, the next melody note, the next two notes, the next note, then it goes higher. Each one of these goes the same distance higher. It goes up a third.
Right.
Okay?
So they're both majors. Because
Well, actually,
no?
this is an A to C. What kind of interval? So A to C would be what? What kind of interval?
It'd be a second.
No.
A to C. Oh, wait, oh, three. I mean a third.
Right, and then what kind of third is it?
It's a major.
Why?
A to B and B. No, it's a minor.
So A to
Sorry.
C is a minor third.
Yeah, it's minor third.
Okay? And this song is in the key of A minor or C, meaning there are no sharps or flats.
Right.
Okay? And so the melody, the lower melody, starts on A, and the higher melody starts a third higher on C.
Right.
Okay? Well, that happens to be a minor third, but because actually the chord that's being played there is A minor as well.
Right.
Okay? And so, and then the melody note goes up one note. Now, one note could be a whole step or half step depending on where it is in the scale. So the A is going to go up to B.
Right.
The C is going to go up to D.
Right.
So it went from a minor third here to another minor third.
Right.
But now, when these go up one note higher, the B that I'm on is going to go only to C because it's following the scale.
Right.
But the D is going to go to E. So now, this is a major third because this is C to E.
Right.
And you can see this is not the same distance as this.
Right.
It's one fret further.
Now I have a question. Why are you starting as A as the root and then C as the second one? Could C have...
Well,
it'd be
because
totally
you
different.
measure an interval from the lower note to the higher one.
Okay.
You use the lower note as your starting point.
Okay.
And so the lower note here is A,
Right.
and the higher note is a third above it.
Okay, so you always start with the lower note. Okay.
Okay.
The lowest note.
And so here's what that sounds. So the lower melody here goes A, B, C.
Mm-hmm.
The higher melody goes C, D, E.
Right.
So again, the
it's a whole
intervals.
step each time.
Right, but see when we get up here, one of them only went a half step, but one went a whole.
Right.
So major and minor thirds, when you play through the notes of a scale in thirds,
Right.
some of them are major thirds, some of them are minor, depending on where 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So in this case,
Right.
we're thinking in the key of C.
Right.
Okay? A is note 6 in C.
Right.
Its third would be note 8.
Right.
And because 7 to 8 is a half step, it's a minor third.
Right.
Now, so this is notes 6 and 8. Now they move up to notes 7 and 2. Well, 7 to 8 is still a half step, so this interval is only a step and a half.
Right.
But now it moves up to note 1 and 3. It doesn't have any of the half steps in there anymore.
Right.
So so this is a major third.
Got it.